We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Navigating. The Astrological, Matrix. Decided to throw on a few special effects today from my high-tech special effects box that I've invested huge sums of money in. Yeah, it's called me. Good morning and welcome. Today is 21212. Figure that out. If you take the 0 out of 2012, it is 2, the month 2, the date 1, the year 2012 minus the 0. So it's 21212. I'm not sure what it means, but it's interesting. 21212. It's very binary in some ways. Speaking of 21212, I don't know if you have. Oh, by the way, I'm Robert Phoenix. I'm your host. I'm your navigator for this experience for the next 2 hours. And don't be shy. Call in. I'm not going to have much of a wind-up or riff today, so we can get right into doing some readings for people that are interested in the experience. This is the normal time. 11 o'clock is the mutated blog talk time when I can't always update the back end of my page. But this is where it happens when it happens on Wednesday. So speaking of binary experiences or aspects, I put up a post on my website yesterday. It has to do with, right now we're in an exact opposition between Mars and Venus. And excuse me, you may hear that occasionally throughout the show. Slowly but surely I'm reclaiming my lungs, which is not a bad thing. Lungs are quite important. I've been talking to people around the country and around the lovely state of California, and a lot of people are sick. A lot of people have this flu-like thing, and it comes, and then it goes, and it comes back. And it's amazing how many people are all experiencing or reporting very similar symptoms. So if you ever wondered whether or not we're connected or not, we are, trust me. And it's through our physical response to our environment that we know that we're connected in some way, shape, or form. There's much more subtle forms of connection, obviously. But I put up a post yesterday on the website, and it has to do with this opposition between Mars and Venus. And Mars is the male principle. Venus is the female principle. Now, in the great scheme of things, look, there is really kind of no male or female principle. I mean, let's just cut to the chase and go to the end of the story. It is all one. There is nothing but a unified field of consciousness, okay? And yet, we live in a world of division. We live in a world of polarity. We live in a world of duality. I am not a woman. Most of my listeners are not men. We are blessed and born with different hardware and ultimately different software too. So we break these things down into their particulate nature, and we begin to see that there are opposing forces at times at work in the universe. But even the opposing forces or the opposition are there to conspire towards our understanding or our realization of our wholeness in our unity. In a lot of ways, it is really the great paradox of life on this plane of existence. How can we be other and still be one? So what we do and how we go about understanding those things is it's kind of a unique journey, right? In its own individual and its own collective sense. So how we arrive at the realization is through any means possible. And part of it is breaking down the division and the polarity inside each one of us so that we can begin to resolve our contradictory states or our contradictory nature, whether we're men or women. And then as we do that, then we can begin to reach out and build bridges in a very integrated and individuated fashion, because that's really where this bus is headed. Integration, individuation, so that we are really aligned with the quote-unquote separate aspects of our nature. And when we're aligned, we're living, emoting, breathing, being from those places. Very easy. It's very easy then to relate from a place of balance and wholeness. And that's what it's about. At least for me it is. And how you get there? Well, maybe this show and astrology and related disciplines can begin to orient your perspective or your consciousness towards a path of awakening so that you can do that. So that said, on my blog yesterday, I put up a post, and essentially what I was doing was I was looking at the male and the female dynamic, and my life will trigger how I experience and then filter, process, and share with you, my insights as it relates to astrology or the big picture on the planet. And I had an experience where I just had a treatment for my chest and some other stuff. And I go to a pretty non-traditional practitioner. It's a woman in San Rafael. She does something called NMT. Excuse me. And what happens with NMT is there's a lot of muscle testing that goes on. Not a lot, but there is muscle testing, and it happens very quickly. And the woman who treats me, her name is Connie Prodromou. She's Greek. She's like the Jimi Hendrix of muscle testing. I swear to God, this woman she's so fast. Blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. So she just burned through this stuff. And one of the things that they do is that, well, it's a big thing for for NMT is they come up with these pathways all through the muscle testing. It's all elimination, process of elimination. Finally, they figure it out. And one of the pathways that I had, which was contributing to my dis-ease, was grief. And there were a group of words, a set of words that they had developed for grief. And part of, in that moment, as she was resetting my pathways, was I was supposed to read these words. And I read them, and I could feel them like churning, like they were triggering things inside of me. And I began to sort of start my process right then and there. Went over to her. She's got a massage table. She's also a licensed acupuncturist. Hooks me up with the needles and a beamer, and then I'm there for about 20 minutes off the table and into the world. On my way to Whole Foods. By the way, I'm going to talk about Whole Foods in a little bit. Very important info with Whole Foods. On my way to Whole Foods, I had a kind of a quote-unquote healing crisis in the car, right? And I was thinking about, my life and the kind of the past 2 years and the end of my marriage, separation, and all that stuff, death of my father, but mostly the former versus the latter. And I broke down in the car, right? I just broke down. I started weeping. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's noteworthy. So then I drove to Whole Foods, excuse me, and I met just synchronistically a guy by the name of, in the piece he's Bodhi. That's not his real name. I didn't want to use his real name because some people might actually know this guy. I mean, he's kind of a superstar in some circles. Anyway, I run into him. Who knows? 6 months, a year. It's infrequent, but we know each other. We connect, we relate. It's actually, he's older, and he's an interesting cat. He spends about three hours a day in conscious, pure light bliss meditation, and that's his big path right now. And so we were talking about this connection between men and women. I mean, it was really, it became sort of the centerpiece of our connection in that moment. And we talked about women and anger and men with grief, and how these are the two energies that collectively and individually we are running, and how they really, in a lot of ways, are not allowing us to come together. And so that stayed with me, and it was like, okay, yeah, I get it. And I've thought about these things before too. I mean, I'll share a story with you, personal story. So this was when I was married, and it was an anniversary, and I went to great lengths to find a very nice restaurant. I did all those things, thoughtful things that one would do for their partner. Babysitter, you name it, lined it up. We go out, and it felt like it was a really good anniversary, good occasion, nice dinner. Sat down with my wife at the time, and she said something to me that was really revelatory. And let me see if I can paraphrase this, because I think it relates back to this big picture. She said, I love you, and let me see if I can just nail this. It was like what she was saying was, I can't let go of certain things, or I can't just, it was almost like I can't accept you or let go of certain things, because if I don't, you may not change. And I thought that was a really fascinating statement. I'm like, well, okay. well, I asked her, I said, well, how's that working out for you? And she said, well, it's not. I said, well, why don't you just let it go? But she couldn't. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I don't think it was me, okay? I don't think it was me. I think she was holding on to something that was beyond me. It was men. It was the patriarchy. It was whatever, right? I became the symbol. I became the focal point for her unwillingness to let go. And ultimately, I think that became a much larger wedge. So I understand that when Bodhi brought this thing up about anger and grief, totally understood it. And it was it definitely triggered this conversation that I had on the anniversary dinner. So what we're doing now, at least what we have an opportunity. I mean, today is 22 degrees Venus in Pisces. Today is 22 degrees Mars in Virgo. Master number. We have today. If you look at the day, 212, right? 21212. What is 21212? It is a code. It is a code for the mystery of being. 2, binary, polarity, 1, unity. And it is locked into this day. 21212. We have the opportunity today with Mars in Virgo at 22 degrees, Venus in Pisces at 22 degrees, 2 and 2, right? 2 and 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We have an opportunity today to close the gap. We have an opportunity today to close the gap between the sexes. And it's important. It's important. There's a bigger thing going on the planet right now. We don't have time. We don't have time to continue this feud, ongoing feud between estrogen and testosterone. We need to close the gap. It is the most fundamental connection. It is the most fundamental connection beyond anything on the planet, beyond race, beyond religion. Because it doesn't matter. You can be Jewish, you can be Muslim, you can be Christian, you can be Buddhist, you can be black, you can be yellow, you can be brown. But it comes down always, always, always to men and women. And if we begin to close that gap, then we can really transcend and move beyond the other differences. So today, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about it. I think it's important. Think about it. You're a woman. If you're listening to the show, where are you angry? Why are you angry? What are you holding on to? What are you holding on to? Does it serve you? Does it serve you to hold a position towards your mate, if he's a man, or men in general? Look, understand, men theoretically have kind of fucked up the planet. I get that to a certain extent. You don't have to hold a grudge or be angry at the men in your life because, quote unquote, men have made a mess of things. You can separate the wheat from the chaff. And I think that the greatest thing that can happen is to be able to love and empower the men in your life. I'm sorry, it sounds old-fashioned, but that's the way it is. And for men have to get over their grief. Men carry around a lot of sadness. And the grief gets in the way of them being able to experience love and support and connection. Today we have that opportunity. If you're a man, you have something to grieve about. You do. Trust me. You do. For men, it's mostly this image of what men are supposed to do or be. And not only that, but it's the fact that as men, we have an opportunity and have had an opportunity for years to love and protect and secure the people that we're with. And in a lot of ways, we've abdicated that. We've abdicated that position. And it's a complex reason as to why we've abdicated that position. Society, culture, technology. In a lot of ways, it's forced us and allowed us to abdicate that. But we carry around a grief because we have not been able to fulfill our mission, fulfill our promise to uphold sacred truths in our lives and the lives of our loved ones. So I think it's important for men to get to the grief. Now, there can be anger for men as well. I'm not saying this is specifically grief anger, but there can be anger for men. And so for men to get to the grief, sometimes they have to go through anger. Robert Bly has done a lot of work with men in grief, and I think it's very valid. And I think it's very valid for men right around between the age of 45 and 60, because then they begin to look back in their lives and they say, holy shit, what the hell did I do? I did all these things in order to be loved, to be accepted, to be respected, to get laid. And where am I now? Theoretically, I'm in a loveless marriage, or I'm divorced, or whatever that thing is. So today is a very unique day. Don't pass up the opportunity. I'm telling you. Look inside. Where can you forgive? Where can you work through your anger? Maybe you can tell somebody that you're angry, but be clear about why you're angry. I'm gonna take a couple of calls, and I'm gonna share with you a story that happened to me yesterday, and it might actually make sense for some of you, and you might be able to derive something out of it and bring it on home. Let's go to the 323 caller. They've been waiting for 7 minutes. Let's talk to them, and let's find out what's going on with them and what they want to share. Hi, you're on the air with Robert.
Hi, this is Camille.
Hey,
I called before, but under a 510 number.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, what I have to share, the last time I spoke with you, it's been since November or something,
Yeah.
I have had a baby.
Oh.
And I'm one of those people who I went through an entire 34 weeks of pregnancy, not knowing until I went into labor on December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day.
You did not know you were pregnant?
No. I had no symptoms. I wasn't feeling or looking pregnant. There was no weight gain. There was no fluid retention. All the typical symptoms that you would expect, I, for whatever reason, did not have.
Wow. How weird is that?
Very weird. However, the only way that I would have had a baby without any sort of hang-ups that I had left over from mother and grandmother and all the way back down to Eve, probably. So it's been the biggest blessing for me. She's only 8 weeks old, but it's still been very healing, very therapeutic for me to actively participate and engage, build community. It's been a great process, but a great joy and blessing too.
Well, okay, so let's walk through this for a second, okay? Take us back in time. You're living your life. It's say December 4th or 5th. You have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
So all of a sudden, you begin to have these these pains, and what's going through your mind?
Not pain, but pressure.
Okay.
Fear. I can tell you she was born on Wednesday, December 7th, and on Saturday, the Saturday before, I walked 4 miles. I walked 4 miles.
So you're out there. Well, this is one of the most unusual stories I've ever heard. How common or uncommon is this?
It's more common than you think. The more that I have researched it, someone has a show on like Discovery Health Channel about this, and I'd seen the show before, and I'm like, how would you not know you're pregnant? And then I found myself in the same situation, and okay, in my case, I wasn't putting on weight. I wasn't feeling anything, no fetal movement. There are so many things that go into it that I just didn't have. So I'm living life, and here it was that day. A lot of fluid started to release, and I don't know what that is, but I was so determined to get whatever I thought I needed to do that day. I just pushed forward until it became apparent that, okay, something is wrong with me. I don't know what it is, but I need to get back home, and I'm going to need some help. And I took a bath, and I looked over, and my belly suddenly was bloated, and something was moving, and I said, oh, my God, I don't have anything to compare this to, but I think I'm in labor. And I called 911, and I told them what was going on. And, yeah, maybe within 30 minutes, I delivered a baby. We made it to the hospital. That's the beauty part. We made it to the hospital. But it was fear because I was all alone.
Right.
Yes, because I was all alone. And my mother had passed on years ago. My grandmother had passed on years ago. And I knew, oh, my goodness, I'm going to bring a child into this world, and I have, who do I call? What do I do? But then she came, and now I didn't realize I had so many connections and friends in my own community until she was born.
This is just an absolutely mind-blowing story. It's almost like you just had this instant child.
Yes, that's exactly how it felt and exactly what it's feeling like. I had no preparations except the desire, the intention. For years, I'd always wanted a baby, especially a daughter. I'd always wanted it. It just, as the years progress, you're not meeting anybody of any substance, and it feels like it's getting farther and farther away, that maybe it won't happen. And I'd even told myself, well, I'm going to have to be okay if this never happened.
Right.
And not realizing I'd been pregnant since maybe the middle of April.
Wow.
Yeah. But feeling nothing, not gaining any weight. I live up here in the Bay Area, and it was quite warm into September into maybe middle or the end of October. I had on clingy dresses. Well, there's no baby, clingy clothes. So
wow.
Really body conscious, yeah. So I'm I don't know where I was carrying her, but I put a picture of myself up on my Facebook yesterday, picture of me about 30 weeks pregnant, and they're like, you don't seem to be carrying anything except your purse.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's one of those miraculous things, but she's here, and she's very much a treasure. And she's very active, alert, and healthy. Mm-hmm.
So obviously she's there with you. What's her name?
Cybele Aphrodite.
Cybele Aphrodite. And how much did she weigh when she was born?
5 pounds, 2 ounces.
So she was not big. She was kind of on the smallish side, which maybe would have, kind of added to this optical illusion that you weren't pregnant. I mean, so
right.
She wasn't like 8 pounds or 9 pounds like my kid. He was 9 pounds when he came out. So
Wow.
My ex,
yeah.
trust me, my ex was showing. So well, congratulations. I can hear her in the background. Sounds like she's very happy.
She is.
Yeah. So where do you want to take this from an astrological standpoint? I mean, it's your time, your dime. What can I do for you?
Yeah. Okay, my chart. I'm curious as to my chart because I know I'm pretty intermediate when it comes to astrology, so I know that I've got Sag rising and Jupiter, Taurus 5th house, and she has a Taurus moon, and she's really fulfilling a lot of that energy, that creative 5th house energy that I've been looking at, where am I going to go with this? So I'd like to know what movement is happening in my chart. Let's see, the information. I'm born July 13th, 1976.
All right, hold on a second. I'm just gonna
Okay.
I'll do a full natal chart for you since this is such an exceptional moment here. Hold on. Let me go into my,
Okay.
my charts. Let's go where I want to go.
I'm really curious.
Well, me too. Let's see. Hold on. There we go. Let's go to this one here. Let's go here. I just have to reformat something.
Okay.
Excuse me. Okay. So, all right, got this. Give me your birth date again.
Okay, July 13th, 1976.
All right. So,
in Los Angeles.
You're a dragon. This is your year.
Yes.
So that makes sense in some ways. Okay. What time?
6:18 p.m.
6:18 p.m. All right.
In Los Angeles.
Okay. And let's go here. Los Angeles. What a story.
Yeah, I know.
So are you getting some support now from people, friends, community?
Yes. Typically a woman would go and have her baby shower and all these things. I had no preparation, nothing. So I put it out there on my Facebook. I'm in the hospital. I just had a baby. What? After everyone was over the initial shock, people started putting things in the mail, new things, old things, donated things, whatever, for us immediately. So all of her clothes and little shoes and blankets and so many things have been provided for. Yeah. Even down to, like, I have not bought a single diaper. I'm breastfeeding her, but I've had to supplement with some formula. I have not had to buy one thing of formula because that's come in too. So many things have come in. And even at this moment, I'm still ignorant of the cost of baby things because things came in for her all up to like size 4 and 5T. So, I'm just kind of accept everything and fold it up. And now I know that when the time comes, she outgrows something. I know where to go to, like little baby stores where you trade it in for like store credit and you get like other equipment or other toys and things. Yeah. So a lot of this so much has come through. She is very, very lucky, very blessed and fortunate, and so am I.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's look at your chart. I mean, I think the most fascinating aspect I can see in your chart is your Chiron, which is in the fourth house. Chiron and Taurus, right? In fourth house. So Jupiter was right on your Chiron when in the fourth house is motherhood. It's home.
Okay.
And Jupiter was right on your Chiron at the time of your birth.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, it's the time of your daughter's birth. Well, your birth, too. You were giving birth. So
of course.
Here we have Jupiter coming into the picture and actually, for lack of a better term, illuminating Chiron. Chiron is, we know Chiron is the wounded healer. It's an aspect that, we try to come to grips with, come to terms with over the course of time throughout our lives. It is a planet that it's not a planet, but it's an aspect that is really associated in my experience with shame and with misunderstanding, enculturation, and socialization. So for you, that place where you're theoretically, Chiron also represents the blind side, by the way. It's in traditional mythology, Chiron is the healer of Achilles, right?
Oh, alrighty.
And Achilles has the heel, the Achilles heel. The one part that he's the most vulnerable in terms of his defenses. So in a lot of ways, his heel was his blind side. It's the area that we just can't see. So in your experience here, Chiron, your blind side, motherhood, Taurus, fertility, birth, makes a lot of sense.
Right, okay.
Okay, so Jupiter comes in and bada bang, right? So theoretically, you would have had, so you said that you probably became pregnant in April. Is that right?
Probably around mid-April, April 15th, yeah.
So that would have put the sun in right around your 4th house.
Wow.
So again, we have conception, motherhood.
Wow.
And now Jupiter comes in, hits Chiron. So Jupiter is moving towards your 5th house, and obviously you've got if we look at your daughter's chart, her Jupiter, natal Jupiter is conjunct your natal Chiron, and so that will be a relationship you'll carry on throughout your life.
Right.
And so she was able, in her own way, to trigger your Chiron and make it, come to life, become flesh manifest. So Jupiter's moving towards your natal Jupiter in the 5th house in Taurus. So you were meant to be a parent. You were meant to be Jupiter, Taurus, 5th house, parenthood is exalted.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So so the next question is, well now what? Where do you go from here? Well, I don't think you have to really do a lot. Okay.
Okay.
I think because you've got this wonderful Jupiter in Taurus in the 5th house. It's been activated now, right? It is on. It is on. You're getting all these things. You're getting clothes. You're getting this. You're getting that. That's not going to stop, by the way.
Awesome. Okay.
It is not going to stop. And in fact, I get a sense that as we get closer to May,
Jupiter return.
Get closer to May, you're going to have somebody's going to offer you an opportunity to live with them, have a grandmother's cottage. There's something very important and essential in the raising of this child that has to do with physical space that is going to change your life. That's my sense.
Okay.
So you just, it's not right now. You need to be able to accept and embrace what people are sharing and giving with you. Right. So, if she's born on Pearl Harbor Day, which this is kind of interesting. Her son.
She's Pearl Harbor Day born in Berkeley.
I believe her son. Let me go into the ephemeris quickly.
Okay.
I believe her son is in your 12th house.
Yes, I saw that.
The 12th house is hidden, right?
Right.
It's the house of mystery. So she emerged in your house of mystery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Explains why I didn't know about her until she came.
Exactly. And you have Neptune, by the way, at 11 degrees in your 12th house. So let me just go into the ephemeris really quickly.
Okay.
Find out where the sun was on that day. So let's go back to 2011.
Yeah, it's December 7th in Berkeley, California.
Yeah, I'm just going to go into the solar chart here real quick. So December 7th. The sun was at 14 degrees. Excuse me. And Mercury was at 8 degrees. So the sun was just 4 degrees off of your natal Neptune. So she arrives in the house of mystery. Her true node is at 14 degrees also. So she has an exact conjunction between her true node and her sun, which is pretty uncommon, actually. So she's going to be very Sagittarian. And as far as her impact on your life, she is going to be a huge mover and shaker for you at a soul level. So she's going to be driving a lot of change, obviously, but coming from a very subtle place. But she has just now, in a lot of ways, become, anytime you have a child, right, it becomes the most important thing in your life. But for you, it is multiplied because of the position in the 12th house.
I see. Okay.
Now she's not only become an important aspect in terms of all that Taurus stuff and Jupiter in the 5th house, but she's become, in a lot of ways, your soul manifest.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay.
So she's going to be pushing you from here on out to tap into that Neptune in the 12th house. Very Sagittarian, very spiritual, finding the bigger picture, finding more faith. She is going to be your teacher when it comes to faith.
Uh-huh. I see.
Yeah,
yes.
that's a big reason why she's here.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Well, this has been
wow.
a mind-blowing kind of way to start the day off with the first call. So I wanted to thank you for chiming in and sharing this remarkable story with us.
Yes, and thank you for being able to look at the chart because, like I said, I am pretty intermediate when it comes to astrology. However, I don't know everything, and like the Chiron aspect, I didn't know that. I mean, I saw it referenced, but not to really go into it because you can't always find good information about it.
Right.
Right. So it's good. Thank you for that. Do you have anything to share on the whole, my true node is Scorpio, so I'm moving from Taurus to Scorpio. Does that factor in?
Well, so what you're going to do, what's going to happen is, if your true node is in Scorpio, Saturn is coming into Scorpio later in the year. And you're going to have a Saturn true node conjunction. I don't know. Let me just go back. Hold on a second. Let's keep going back in time here. Where did your chart go? Hold on. Now you got to go back in here and get your chart. So you'll have a Saturn. You'll have a Saturn true node conjunction, and Saturn will force you to really get into your true node. And let me just see if I can find you again here. So we look at your true node. There it is. It's up it's at the end of the 10th house.
Right.
And you have Uranus and Scorpio. So Saturn is now in your 10th house. And it's been there for a while. It's right at the edge. So you're going to have Saturn, Uranus, Saturn true node. When Saturn's on Uranus, it's a little challenging. And I see this really kind of, it's connected to the birth of your daughter because the 10th house is career, what we bring to the world stage.
Public life, yeah.
And when Saturn's on top of Uranus, it signifies kind of a lack of movement. Saturn is brakes, and Uranus is movement. It's churn. It's revolution, right? Revolutions per minute. So when Saturn sits on Uranus, there can be a sense of restlessness. And when it hits your true node, there's a shift with your true node when Saturn hits your true node. And it's going to be, this will happen later in the year. When Saturn hits your true node, your true node's at this really interesting place between the 10th house and the 11th house. I mean, technically, it's still in the 10th house, and it's 5 degrees. It's actually 6 degrees away from your 11th house. When you get within 5 degrees, 4 degrees, you begin to read those angles for the next house, but it's just right on the edge. So what's going to happen with Saturn on your true node is you're going to have to build this bridge between work and what you do and bring to the world and the social network, friends, sort of a very kind of more experience. You're going to have to build a bridge between those two worlds. And I think for you, it could evolve into a new career path.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. And so it may have everything to do with your daughter initiating you into that.
That's what I've been feeling since the day one, that whatever career stalls I might have had, wherever I was trying to push myself into this mold and not really getting there, I think that now, because I've had this child, I think that I might start to do whatever work involving like creativity, writing, children, sports, amusements. It all fits in there together. I'm just creating what that is first.
Yeah,
like,
here's what I would do.
Yeah.
You've got all those planets in Cancer in your 7th house. You've got Jupiter in the 5th. You've got Chiron in the 4th. Whatever you do, it needs to be around kids. It needs to be around motherhood. It needs to be around birth. That's where I would take your train.
I see. Okay. Yes. Good. So I'm on the path. I am on the path.
You are on the path.
Yes. Awesome.
Okay.
Okay. That makes so much sense. Thank you very much.
Hey, Camille, congratulations, and
thank you.
just check back in with us in a few months. Tell us how things are going.
Oh, I sure will.
All right. Take good care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, what a trip, huh? That is such a trip. Let's go to Jalny82. I think it's a Skype call. Let's find out who they are, where they're calling from. Hey, welcome to the show. Hello? You're on the air. Going once. Going twice. Tell you what, I'll put you back. I'll put you back in the mute mode. In the meantime, let's talk to our friend Lenise down in Memphis. Hey, Lenise.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Did you hear that story?
You know I'm saying, wow. It just sounds divine to me. It really sounds divine. Just one word, divine.
How mind-blowing is that?
Wow. You know, like her, I looked at the show, too, and I thought, how could you not know that you're pregnant? But I guess it actually does happen. She's living proof.
I mean, here you are. You're living your life, right? Having fun, going on 4-mile walks. And all of a sudden, you take a bath. You look at your stomach. It's big all of a sudden. And you go into labor, and half an hour later, you got a kid. I mean, gee, I've never heard anything like this before.
Yeah, it's almost like they're right there with immaculate conception.
You know, I was thinking the same thing. I didn't say anything at the time, but it really kind of had that vibe to it, you know.
And I just feel like this baby, you know, and it's in the chart. I think that baby is just really something special and something different, and definitely has a plan. You know, there's a lot to that. I could feel that. And I'm really happy for her because I always wanted a little girl, and I thought, wow, what if I would like for that to have happened to me, you know, just pop out, you know, because that was my life's dream to have a little girl, but I never did.
I'm still blown away by that. Talk about manifestation. That's a
to hear someone actually call in and, you know, on this platform and, you know, want to know about the birth chart, you know, that lets you know she's definitely telling the truth and that it did actually happen that way.
Well, I mean, I could hear the baby.
Girl.
So, man,
anyway,
alive.
She's Cancer.
So what's going on with you? How are you today?
Oh, God, I'm just speechless. I've been on a path, and it's just so I'm opening up. And I feel like the healer is being healed in order to be able to heal everybody else.
Uh-huh. So is this a positive thing?
Yeah, but it was kind of scary, but I had to just be realistic, you know, I was telling you about the blood pressure thing.
Yep.
And it has come to surface for me to deal with it, so.
Well, good.
I have to get on medication, and, you know, I'm just having to accept that I can't judge it, you know, because I'm more of a holistic person, and I always wanted to do the holistic route.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten my body is just kind of out of balance right now, so I have to bring it back into balance. So I'm having to believe it's all good, but I got these little moments of fear, you know, and I have to kind of run that away.
Yeah. You know, the last time we talked, which was last Wednesday, our conversation actually prompted me to devote an entire blog post to health and Mars and Virgo. And
wow.
So
I know. I read it. I thought, oh my God, God really cares about me.
Well, look, I everything in my life, everybody in my life, is part of a large cosmology, right? So, I mean, it's always been that way, but now that we've got the internet and all these different access points, it just becomes much easier to draw in different pathways of inspiration from everybody.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. You call in, and all of a sudden I think about it. It's like, hey, I bet you other people are experiencing something like that. So let's do a blog post and let's find out. Let's put out some information where people can begin to perhaps look at alternative sources for bringing your blood pressure down. So that's what inspired me. And so thank you for doing that. And I'm glad that you're doing what you do, however you're doing it, in order to stay healthy.
Yeah, I think I'm in a big healing process with my body, and I think it's gonna be finalized, and I'm gonna be okay because my mind is being renewed about how I should live, and I'm really conscious of getting rest and not stressing and letting things go. And I was already into that before this came up, so I'm seeing it as things coming to surface in order. It's come to pass so that I can move it out of the way and, get over it.
Right.
And
right. Well, good for you. I mean,
a healthy place.
Well, you've got a conscious relationship to it. So, right on. Yeah. I've got a friend who lives over in England, and we were talking about, in fact, we were talking about you, and we were talking about your dreams. But how are the dreams, by the way?
Well, it's been good lately because I think it had something to do with my pressure going up last night. Mm-hmm. I was reminded once again to stay protected, and someone told me to close the door because I'm doing this astral travel. Again, it's not my idea. It's just what's been going on with the astral travel. When I go out, I'm not completely protecting myself. I'm leaving myself open, so some little things have been, little dark things have been, they're not attaching to me, but they've been affecting me. And I think I kind of run back in a hurry, and I become fearful and jump back into my body.
Right.
And on top of being out there unprotected, so last night, I got with my guys. They've been with me all day, and I'm really connecting and really feeling them working in my life. Mm-hmm. and feeling that line of communication really open up because I asked them to please protect me while I'm sleeping so mm-hmm. that I can rest. And even if I forget to ask, I'm going to ask every night, but I told them even if I forget to please protect me anyway and just know that I need this. And I slept, and I just gently woke up this morning. No fast heartbeat, no fast respirations. I just woke up.
Beautiful.
And I did say thank you.
Beautiful. Good for you. So when you say you go out, so you're astral traveling, you're leaving your body, you're tripping around?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
what I found out. And some of it I remember and some of it I don't. But when the dreams are vivid, I'm always in distress. So I know I must be in a dark place. Or being affected by something that is not good because I have this, it's like a fear that I used to have as a child, and all of that comes back, and I'm lost, or either I've lost something. I'm trying to find it. I've disconnected from my group. I'm trying to find them, just this horrendous stress.
Right. Well, if anybody has not consciously experienced leaving their body through sleep, it can be a very unnerving experience. And when we do that, we are in the lower realms of the fourth dimension, and there are a lot of dark and kind of heavy entities and energies that hang out in the lower realms of the fourth dimension, and that can be unnerving for people. And when you see them, And they're there all the time, but once you leave the third dimension, they become visible. Now, they are manifestations of thoughts, your thoughts, others' thoughts, spirits that are trapped, very low-level stuff, and you can get beyond them. And it's important to not attach to them when you are in that place or in that state. And the big thing is to consciously not be afraid. That's one of the hardest things, because now you've left your body, you see your body, and you can see these creepy things. Like when I've gone through cycles where I've done this in my life, and it usually comes in chunks. And I remember seeing, very disturbing creatures that were around me during those times. One time I saw nothing but a giant mouth at the end of my bed. And it was just like all it wanted to do was just devour me, right? It was like, oh, that's, I don't like that. So if you can somehow consciously remain fearless, then that stuff will, not only will it go away, but then you can begin to shift the reality and begin to move up through higher levels of perception through the fourth dimension. And once you get through to the higher fourth, once you get to the fifth, okay, so keep this in mind. This is for everybody. Once you get to the fifth dimension, every dimension beyond the fifth is now available to you. So that's really the key. And navigating fearlessly through the fourth, that's the big one. That's the big one. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I kind of want to just say, look, can I just not astral travel and stay in my body? But, a lot of times I don't remember. I think my soul or my spirit remembers, and I get really afraid. But some of it, I'm not even allowed to remember. I can just feel the darkness and the fear of it when I wake up.
Yeah.
It's getting better because, I had dreams like that. It happened to me when I was a child. I had a reoccurring dream, and I conquered it. I was no longer afraid, and I spoke back. It was just like this dark hole that I could see into, and there was something in there, and I was afraid of it, and I would be paralyzed with fear, not being able to move, standing in front of it. And one night, I wasn't afraid anymore, and it hasn't come back since. So it's reminded me of what you're saying. So I got to do that same thing with this step of what I'm going through.
Yeah, if you can just stay conscious and remind yourself in that moment that nothing can touch you unless you allow it and give it permission. Just remember that. Okay. And then once you get your bearings and have that thought, that conscious thought and realization, and you can remain still with that conscious thought and realization and just be there, interesting things will happen. Your reality will begin to shift accordingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lanice, this is exciting stuff, and I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. And I love hearing your reports from your inner life and psychic navigation. That's fantastic.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to have someone that I can share it with. You're one of the very few.
Well, we're here every Wednesday, so you know that, and and I know that if you ever drop into the chat room, there's a ton of people in the chat room, great chat room, by the way, who have experience in these places, very supportive people too, so you're not alone by any stretch.
Yeah, I have to remember that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Comfort in that. Okay.
I'm going to put you back on hold and let you listen, and thank you for calling in. We love you, and stay strong, all right?
Okay. Thank you. You
okay.
too.
It's our good friend Lanice from Memphis, Tennessee, sharing some hey, check this out. 2 callers, the first 2 callers, one caller shares with us the story of what really could be a modern immaculate conception. I mean, you could theoretically draw some conclusions around that and begin to have an archetypal relationship with Camille's birth, or the birth of Camille's child. Cybele. And then here we have Lanice sharing fantastic stories about her being able to come to grips with her health, healing, and astral travel at night, and conquering her fears around that. So this is the first 2 calls of the day. In the background, we have the siren, the alarm, first Wednesday siren alarm coming from Chevron. They do this every month. This is their test siren. So it's 11 o'clock. We're 60 minutes into the program. You're listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I am your host, Robert Phoenix, and I would be happy to do more readings. My website, robertphoenix.com. You can find out more about what I do and more in-depth readings if you want to go out and get one. We have a new video up on YouTube. It was put together by Erica, who is in the chat room right now. You can talk to her if you want to. She did a fantastic job of putting this. She also did the image for the Monday mashup. She did a fantastic job compiling these strange sounds that people are hearing all over the world. And it was the first sort of compiled video that we put together for the YouTube channel. And it's gotten over 2,000 views, 40 comments. So check it out. It's a pretty startling compilation of these very strange sounds. And the tack that we wanted to take was, we don't know what they are. We don't know what they are. But we're going to put them together. We're going to throw out what it could be, what people are talking about, what people are proposing it might be. But at the end of the day, it's about what you think they are. Let me just tell you, I think they're real. Of course, there are some that are hoaxed. I think they're real. And I don't get a good vibe from them. I'm sorry. They don't elicit a warm and fuzzy feeling inside of me. And I personally don't really want to hear them. Now, that's not to say that we're not going to make a compilation of the sounds. I think it's important. But I think that we need to be aware of them. We need to be aware of the frequency of the sounds. And when I say frequency, I mean this in 2 ways. One, frequency and how frequent they're showing up, and frequency in terms of the frequency that they bring to us. My feeling, my sense, my intuition is that it's a dark frequency. Now, I'm not opposed to dark music. I used to work for a music distribution company and a label that had the darkest music on the planet, some of which was utterly demonic. Others I found to be compelling. I have no problem with dark ambient music. I have no problem listening to Yodo monks chanting. I have no problem with Tibetan horns. Very dark. These are dark tones, deep tones. I don't have any problem with that. However, I also don't live on a steady diet of it. I kind of did at one point in time, but I think you just need to be conscious and you need to be aware of how the music or how the sounds are impacting you on an internal level. And then have a takeaway from it. And try to figure out whether or not it's meaningful for you or healthy, dangerous. You have to have your own relationship to it. Anyway, you can go to our YouTube channel. Maybe Erica or Janet can post the clip, the link to the clip in the chat room, and you can go and check it out and draw your own conclusions. When I come back from the break, I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to play some music. When I come back from the break, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about Neptune and Pisces. That happens this weekend. And it happens during a kind of an interesting time, on a very interesting day. All right? So I want to talk about that. and I'm going to talk about my own relationship to sound and the judgment, time of reckoning, revelation. I'll share a story with you on the other side of the break. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play a little bit of music, and I'm going to go into the chat room, hang out, and on the back side of this, we'll continue our little experience here that we share together every Wednesday. What do I want to play? Let's see. What do I want to play? How about a little Michael V. Hill, testing 1, 2, 3. It's about 3 minutes. Give me enough time to drop into the chat room, say hi, and then I'll be back, and we'll take the show to the next level in the second hour. You're listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I'm Robert Phoenix. Michael Hill, testing 1, 2, 3. All right, it was Michael V. Hill, testing 1, 2, 3. You're listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I'm your host, Robert Phoenix. So I promised to share with you a couple of bits of information. So I'm going to go back to a dream I had. When was this? 2004. It was shortly after the birth of my son. And I was living in Escondido. And a really nice bedroom, a really nice bed. It's a king-size Tempur-Pedic bed. Nice bedroom, open, airy. I forget about these things sometimes, like a past life, actually. So anyway, I had this dream. And in the dream, I heard a sound. It was a tone. And it was a very special tone. And everybody on the planet heard this tone. Okay? Everybody. And two things happened with this tone. Once you heard the tone, everybody woke up immediately, no matter who you were, where you were. And in fact, Dick Cheney was even in my dream. Even Dick Cheney got it. Can you believe that? No soul left behind. It was indiscriminate. Everybody woke up. I would say that we were living in the equivalent of what would be the fourth dimension. Now, I didn't think that this is ascension or anything like that. I'm not a big ascension person, by the way. I'm not. And the reason I'm not a big ascension person is because as I've gotten older and hopefully wiser, I tend to step back a little bit and not put as much full faith and credit into social phenomena or what I would call meta memes. Because I think we can experience reality or our version of it in ways that are much more true if we can allow it to begin to emerge in our lives in very personal ways. Now, I'm not saying that we can't have these collective experiences. My dream, which I'm sharing with you, for me, was a vision of that. But I just think we have to be careful what we buy into. I'll tell you a story, another story on the backside of this. So the other thing that happened with this dream was that animals became, well, I wouldn't say they became conscious because they're probably already conscious, but we had a relationship with animals after this tone that allowed us to psychically communicate with animals, like talking, like language. So now we had this wonderful psychic link between animals who theoretically could understand English or Spanish, whatever language you were talking to them from or with. And now we were living from a much more higher and elevated perspective based on this tone. And I decided to pull a card the next day, or that morning when I woke up. And I reached into the deck, and the card that I pulled was Judgment. It's a Judgment card, the 20th card in the deck. And when you look at Judgment, the image of Judgment, or one of the main focal points of the major image in Judgment is Gabriel blowing his horn. So I believe that we can be transformed through sound, but it's got to be the right sound. It has to be the right tone. Okay. The other piece I wanted to share with you was Neptune going into Pisces, which happens this weekend. And it's going in on a very interesting day. It happens on the 4th, and the 4th of this year is in the Islamic calendar Mawlid, M-A-W-L-I-D, Mawlid. And Mawlid is the birth date of the Prophet. It's the birth date of Muhammad. Okay, it's a floating date depending on the year. This year is, the Islamic year is 1433 AH, so it falls on 2/4/12. It's an interesting convergence, the birth date of the Prophet and Neptune moving into Pisces. Muhammad is very much a huge figure in the Piscean age. You know, we can't discount Muhammad, we can't discount Buddha, we can't discount Jesus. These are all very Piscean figures. So it's interesting that we would, quote unquote, celebrate or people in the Islamic faith would celebrate the birth of the prophet as Neptune moves back into Pisces. When we get into the final degrees of a sign, it can be very wobbly, as it goes, it's kind of stationary, direct, moving forward, going into that next, luckily for us, Neptune has been going forward for a little while. But when we saw Uranus go from Pisces to Aries, there's that unstable sort of phase shift between the two signs. And what happened when we had Fukushima? It was 3/11. We're coming up, by the way, on the year anniversary. Not an anniversary, I think anybody wants to celebrate with Fukushima. So we're in another patch. We're in another kind of phase shift between Aquarius and Pisces. Happens this weekend. Specifically, Saturday, you may look to Friday also as kind of a vulnerable time in some ways. It'll be interesting to see what plays out with Neptune and Pisces and the celebration for the birth of the quote-unquote prophet. That's happening on Saturday. Let's throw out the number 347-308-8995. 347-308-8995. If you want to call in and share another miraculous story. We've had two major stories today. Or if you want a quick little mini reading, you can come in and I'll crunch the numbers for you. Today in the Mayan calendar, we have 5 Keeb. This is the long count for 21212. The long count 5 is a number of empowerment. So today we are in the process of empowering ourselves and one another. Keep that in mind in all your interactions. It says here, this is from Mayan Magics. At the center of the cube, we find 5. 5 is an intelligent, organizing force which manages communications and materials, knowledge, and application. 5s are natural networkers. Today is a day for networking. These persons can probe directly to the core of any situation, making them excellent investigators. Keeb is the sign of the spiritual warrior, and it is also related to wisdom. Another name for Keeb is Ajmak. Ajmak. The old ones, wisdom of the ancients, wisdom persons are aligned with the ancient memories that wait in the stone of temples and sacred sites all over the world. Wisdom people grow luck like a crop, using a balance of prudence and tenacity. The tremendous inner strength of this sign enables silent introspection to discover areas of oneself that contain wisdom more valuable than any trove of archaeological treasure. Wisdom persons are valiant defenders of family and community. They may become hardened to life, and sentiment turn cold. In these cases, they need much forgiveness for their uncaring errors. Periodically connecting with nature and or visiting sacred sites will bring great stability to wisdom persons. It says here that today is a good day to sit on a rock. If you are a Keeb person, which is a spiritual warrior in the Mayan calendar, I'm going with the long count here, not the Arguelles count. Patience, and forgiveness is a really good mantra for you. So today is 5 Keeb, empowering through wisdom. Empowering through wisdom. If you do not know what your Mayan signature is and you would like to know, you can call in. I've got the software open. I can do that for you. We can get into it. We can explore your Mayan connection a little bit here, and I can share that with you. The other dream, did I want to share the other dream with you? I'm not sure. Now that I think about it, I don't think it has really a lot of context. But I will share with you something that came to me yesterday. And I'm going to share with you because, I think we have this opportunity now with, because I think that, we just had this major solar download, from from the sun, obviously, right? So we've had big, fat solar storm. It hit us last week. And I think what's happening with these solar storms, I really believe that they're accelerating our consciousness and they're accelerating our awareness in quantum capacity. And I had this experience yesterday, which was really enlightening for me. And I'll share it with you, and maybe you can derive something from it. So my mother is living in this retirement community, okay? And she's never lived alone, never lived alone. She was with my father for 50 years. My father passes away, and my mother winds up renting a place for a year in this retirement community, likes it so much, she wants to buy a place, she buys a place. Now, the thing is, when you go buy a place in a retirement community, it's like Russian roulette. I mean, you just don't know who your neighbors are going to be, right? You don't know if somebody's going to die, and it happens frequently in these places. You don't know if they're going to go nuts. It happens frequently in these places. Well, for my mother, she's got two things going on with her neighbors. One of her neighbors is certifiably nuts, and another one is dying. And it's all happening really quickly for her. And so the dying neighbor, it's weird because he's a young guy. I mean, he's like 56 years old. And he's been there for about 6 or 7 months, and my mother has had a nice relationship with him. He's a good guy. He bought her a plant or something, works at UPS. In fact, he's even using her. She's got 2 spots. She's got for cars. He's using one of her spots. She doesn't really mind it. All of a sudden, this guy has been diagnosed with cancer, and he's dying. I mean, it was like that, healthy. Hey, well, you got cancer. You're out of here, buddy. I mean, it's shocking. I mean, he's at home now. I mean, he's probably just a couple of weeks away from hospice. I mean, this is kind of the reality that we're dealing with now here on planet Earth. As he coughs. So she's having to process that. The other thing she's having to process, she's got this neighbor who is, she's bipolar. She's, I think, in her early 70s. Her husband is in assisted living, and she's also gone through a nasty bout of vertigo. And she's kind of nuts. And I feel for her because I understand vertigo. I had it myself, and it's not fun. But she takes her aggression out on my mother. And she plays her music really, really loud. Really loud. And she's kind of a bully. She's made this other neighbor afraid of her. And my mother is so upset that she can't eat. Of course, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to try to help you. So I called the mutual. These are the people that are supposed to help, right? They're actually volunteers. But they're supposed to help with these disputes. So I called this woman, and I was talking to her, and I was being very, cordial and, polite. And then I did something. I decided that I was going to throw the hammer down a little bit. And it's like, look, I know you have your protocol and all that stuff, but if you can't help my mother, then I'll take her to a psychologist. I'll have them do a rundown and an assessment of her emotional state, and I'll begin to build a case. And I told her, I said, look, I'm not threatening you, but I want you to know that I'm going to take this very seriously. And if you can't help her, then I'm going to build a case, and I'm going to, we'll go out and get a lawyer, and we'll start taking names. And as soon as I did that, her tone changed, and she became adversarial towards me. And I had the awareness as I was talking with her in the conversation. It's like, you know what? I should have taken a different tack. I should have taken a different tack with her. And I wasn't yelling or anything, but I was trying to get across the severity of what my mother was going through, because I feel for her. So the moral of my story, what I'm sharing with you is that if we're conscious and aware, we can really see how we can impact people. And if I had gone out of my way to make her an ally versus in that moment, get out my stick and say, if you don't do this, we're going to have to get heavy. if I continued to make her an ally, that conversation would have gone in a very different direction. But I became conscious and aware of it in that moment. So I'm sharing that with you because that's the process that we're going through right now. It is in the moment. It is now. And we can adjust. And if we listen, if we're really on our game, we can listen. We don't have to make those slight errors in judgment. And we can shift. We can shift and navigate, stick and move. You can get through these very turbulent times in a much more conscious and aware way. Got a caller, don't want to lose them. They're from the 951 area code. Let's bring them on. Let's talk with them and see what they have to say. Hi, you're on the air with Robert. How are you? Who are you? And where are you calling from?
Hi, Robert. My name's Donna, and I'm calling from San Diego.
Hey, Donna. How are you?
Good. I love your show. I just started tuning in. I enjoy it a lot.
Well, thanks. You know, I used to live in San Diego.
Yeah.
I lived in Escondido, and I lived in Encinitas.
Oh, I'm in Ocean Beach.
Ocean Beach.
Right next to Pacific Beach, La Jolla.
Yeah, Katie Galanti, a friend of our show, lives down there in Ocean Beach, too. So I don't know if you know her. She's very... So what's on your mind today, Donna? What do you want to talk about? Where do you want to go? It's your time.
Well, I'm pretty familiar with my chart, and I heard you mention something about Mayan connection. I wanted to know more about that. I kind of missed the first part of the show.
Do you know what your Mayan signature is?
No, I don't.
Let's find out. When's your birthday?
Okay, my birthday is 10/25/67.
Right. 10/25 from 1967. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so interesting. Excuse me. So you are a Scorpio, obviously, right?
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't always work out this way with the Mayan calendar. So I just want to preface that. But your Mayan sign is also very much reflective of Scorpio.
Oh.
So you are 7 Kimi, which is Cimi, also spelled Keme, Kemi, and we might even be able to draw some connection with Kemi with Kemetic, but that's a stretch, and it's all the way across the world, and we'd have to explore that a little more. But Kimi is your sign, and you're a 7. So let's start with 7. 7s are very spiritual, obviously. Your galactic tone is 7. It's reflective, and I'll share with you what this site says about the 7s. 7 stands as a mirror to divide light and dark, and to reflect all that is and is not. 7 is associated with the source of creation and the flow of divine will. So you're a channel essentially with a 7. Okay, so keep that in mind. With a keen sense of ethics, 7 establishes purpose to current and future goals. So you are Kimi, which is known as transformer. And what does Scorpio do? Scorpio is engaged in the art of transformation all the time. Cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Transformer persons achieve goals and emotional wealth. Transformer people can become highly respected business persons. They have the ability to help others through any and all transitions with tranquility due to their spiritual strength and guidance. Communities often benefit from Transformers' discipline and organization skills. They strengthen the life of pregnant women and guide them through the transitions of maternity. Establishing contact with the ancestors activates innate psychic abilities. So we're having kind of a double Scorpio moment here, which, it's funny, when you gave me your birth date, I thought about it. So your birth date is 25, right? So you add 2 and 5 together, you get 7.
7.
So when you shared your birth date with me, the first thing that came into my mind was psychic, super psychic. And then I flipped this and I saw your mind stuff, and it's definitely lining up here. Establishing contact with the ancestors activates innate psychic abilities, gifts to be used as tools to assist others. Transformers can have the ability to send evil intentions telepathically. This is their undoing. So with this and Scorpio, you have a lot of accountability when it comes to your thoughts and emotions, right?
I've had some experiences. Go ahead.
From these acts, they lose power and easily fall into a victim role and begin to manipulate with a vengeance. So you have to just be conscious and aware of how you can, transform situations and telepathically send thoughts and not be vindictive. That is really the key for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And Kimi is always in the traditional Mayan codex associated with death. Okay, death and rebirth. So it's a big theme for you. You're an intense personality, Donna.
Yeah, I can definitely. You're right.
So what do you do with all that intensity? How do you work with that in your life?
Well, I'm just now learning how to control it because I can. My patience, I can burst out without, and then of course it always bites me in the butt afterwards. I have to learn how to just if I'm angry, not to lash out because, that's not good.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on that.
You're born in 1967, which is a time when Pluto and Uranus were conjunct in Virgo, very close. It's a kind of a unique time. It's between 66 and 69. And of course, the summer of love theoretically was 68, but 67 is really the pure summer of love. And, people born during that time, I believe, have really unique healing capacities with the Pluto conjunction. So anything you do that can facilitate healing in your life and the lives of others, you'll be rewarded. That's really your core, and that's really your gift. And being able to transform businesses, relationships, your own attitudes and beliefs, these are all very connected to your mind and your Western sign.
Oh, okay. Great. That's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
So much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, listen, thank you for calling in.
Oh, yeah. I definitely will keep tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate it. Tell your friends about the show. Have them listen too, okay?
Okay, great. I sure will. Thank you so much.
All right, take care, Donna. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, it's a new friend, Donna. Donna down in San Diego. But on Sunday, I was listening to this rabbi do his radio show, and every other call, the guy was a master at self-promotion. Let me tell you, master at self-promotion. Every other call, he was getting people to get their friends to listen to the show, or reading an email. Maybe I should read a fake email about how much people love this show. He was doing that. I'm not saying his emails were fake, but I don't get a lot of emails that say, "Oh, I love your show" and stuff like that. I get that from other areas, but maybe I'll read a fake email later in the show. Hey, this is Robert. You're on the air. How are you? Who are you? Where are you calling from? What do you want to talk about?
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Robert, I do love your show.
Thanks.
This is Erica's mother, Sandra.
Oh, hey, what's going on, Sandra?
I am calling in to get I believe it's called a natal astrological reading on myself.
Uh-huh.
A mini.
A mini. Well,
a mini.
I'll tell you what, Sandra, here's what I want to do with you, okay? I want to give you kind of more of a full-blown reading.
Oh.
Okay, because I know that you're going through kind of a transitionary period.
Yes.
And what I want to take some time and just and do it right and do it off the air, because I think that first of all you deserve it, number one, and number two, for me to fully do it any kind of justice or service, I think kind of an off-air thing would be good. But tell you what, I don't want you to go away like, oh gee, I called in and you didn't do anything for me. Let's do this. Let's look at quickly your solar aspects, and I'll give you kind of a quick weather report, and then I'll do something more in depth for you offline. How does that sound?
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Okay. When is your birthday, Sandra?
May 22nd, 1945.
Okay. You have a talented daughter there, by the way.
I'm sorry?
You have a talented daughter.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Let's see. All right, so you're at 0 degrees Gemini in your chart. Okay, it's interesting. I'm sorry, I got the wrong date. My apologies. 1945. Hold
1945.
on. Yeah, hold on. That's going to be a little bit different, I think, than the other year. Hold on. It's May 22nd. Same thing. So it's funny. A lot of times when people are born on the 22nd, they're born at 29 degrees of a particular sign, so they're at the anaretic degree. You're born on the 22nd, and you are born at 0 degrees Gemini. So you're right at the beginning of Gemini. And the thing about Gemini, especially 0 degrees Gemini, is the amount of adaptability and versatility that sign at that degree has. So you are capable of doing many, many things with your sun sign. The good news is, I'm going to give this to you as a headline because I know you're going through a kind of a challenging transition. Jupiter moves into Gemini this year, and it moves, I think, around the latter part of May, early part of June. So right out of the gate, you're going to have a Jupiter-Sun conjunction, which I think bodes very well for you in terms of recreating yourself or a new career path. What I would say for you is to try to find something that is hobby-like. It doesn't have to be a full-blown hobby or full-blown passion, but something that's hobby-like that turns into something that you can reap some financial benefit and reward from. So whatever that is for you, whether it's sewing, bake, I don't know what it is, editing, whether it's math, whether it's books, something that's close to being a hobby that you can flip very quickly and turn into more of a profession. And that really happens latter part of May, early part of June. You can begin to sow the seeds for that now. You also have Uranus in Gemini, so you're going to have a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction about 3 weeks out from, so it'd be in July. July, August, you'll have a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And Jupiter's going to hang out close to Uranus throughout the rest of the year. And when you have a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, things happen fast.
Wow.
Really fast. So you can turn things on a dime. So don't despair. Don't lose your sense of purpose or confidence right now. My sense here is what you're experiencing in your life is a recalibration, and something is going to come in that's more meaningful and will actually be more abundant and more provident for you. Okay.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, don't freak out. You're also going to have a nice Jupiter-Mercury conjunction. That's coming up. That's coming up in the next few weeks. So, Mercury is, using your mind to strategize. You've got it in Taurus. So your mind operates in very concrete ways. Mercury in Taurus is, how can I facilitate change in my life that is physical, that has a physical manifestation. It's not about abstraction. It's not about what ifs. It's about making something real. And Jupiter is saying, okay, here are some materials that can take your thoughts and turn them into something very real, tangible, manifest. So that's coming, and think about that. Think about how you can, create materiality. That's all part of this as well. Same with you've got Mars in Aries, and you have Venus in Aries. Those are a little far off to get the Uranus kick, which is at 0 degrees right now. But as time goes on, and Uranus will be in Aries, I think for the next 6 years, it'll get closer and closer to you. And not far off, within the next 2 years, you're going to have a Uranus-Mars conjunction, which is very dynamic, very exciting, very entrepreneurial. And also in about 3 to 4 weeks, you're going to have a Jupiter-Jupiter trine. You've got Jupiter in Virgo, very practical, again, making something manifest, in materiality, creating things. You're going to have a Jupiter-Jupiter trine in about a month and a half. So all of this is lining up very nicely for you. The only challenge that I see for you at a headline level is Pluto opposing your natal Saturn. And we'll get into that more kind of in an offline experience, okay?
That sounds wonderful. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, you're welcome. You got good things coming in your direction, and I'll circle back with you later.
Thank you so much.
All right, take good care.
You too.
Bye-bye. All right. It's a family affair. That was Erica's mother. That's cool. All right, so let's, call in. Somebody just dropped. I just dropped you. Either I dropped you or you dropped. If I dropped you, I apologize. It was not intentional. It was not intentional. Let's do the number here. It is 646-200. That's my number. I'm sorry. 787-176. Hold on. 347-308-8995. 347-308-8995. 20 minutes left in the show today. If you are listening to the show and you hear my voice either via the podcast or the stream, and you want to get a transit report, okay? This is a 60-page transit report for the entire year. You're not going to find these cheaper, number one, anywhere else. I sell them for $25, okay? $25. I have a license to sell these transit reports. If you send me an email, rpm1122@yahoo.com, and you tell me that you heard this show, I will take $10 off that transit report. 60 pages. You'll get it for $15 if you tell me that, either on the podcast or the stream. Okay? That's a good deal. Hi, you're on the air with Robert. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Holly from Seattle.
Hey, Holly. How are you?
Good.
Good.
10/25/64.
You got right to the point there. Do you want to do your mind? Do you want to do your mind thing, or do you want to look at your Western stuff?
Whatever you think is best.
Let's start with your mind. Let's just play with that, because you don't know what your mind signature is, do you?
No.
All right, 1024. Is that what you said?
No, 10/25, like the other lady, only a different year.
How trippy. Okay, when's your birth? What year?
64.
64. So you are a dragon.
Yeah.
This is your year. How are you feeling about that?
Pretty fabulous. No, I don't know. I don't feel anything.
All right. Well, allow yourself to feel something here. It's okay.
Okay.
You are 4 Chuen, CHUEN, which is also known as monkey.
Oh.
And there's I believe the Aztec word for this is Ba'atz, B-AATZ-Ba'atz. Like there's this guy Han Ba'atz Men, who is a kind of a famous Mayan prophet. So you're 4, which is stability. 4 is the cube, the most stable of all forms, and the establishment of volume by definition. The 4 directions give orientation to any form, as the height, length, depth, and breadth give shape to any form. The energy of 4 sets the parameters, which establish the freedoms and barriers needed to create a game, work, or relationship. So being a 4, form is really important for you. Form, structure, you start from the basics, you start from the foundation, and you build upwards. Monkey is known to the Maya as the weaver, or weaver of time. Monkey takes ideas as threads of vines and weaves them into the fabric of our reality. New patterns or inventions are also woven into our lives by Monkey. Amiable, intelligent, generous, a jack of all trades. Monkey's innocent curiosity leads to artistic expression and constructive solutions. Many monkeys become highly respected merchants or speakers. They love performing practical jokes and crave attention, so much so that they may overact or play the fool to get the spotlight. Monkeys have a short attention span and find it difficult to stay with anything long enough to master it. So here you have 2 very different energies. You have really solid, basic, foundational stuff with the 4, and now you have this monkey energy, which is very playful, which is spontaneous, on top of that. So, if you can build solid foundations on yourself, like a stage, this would be a perfect metaphor. Stage is very solid, four square, and then you get up on that stage and you can, begin to act and improvise with your life. So there's some Mayan stuff for you. Let's just get into your solar piece here. 10. That's funny that the days are the same. That's a trip. So let's go into 10, 25, 64. So let's see. Okay, there we go. So we've got 1 degree Scorpio. Looks like you're probably a Cancer moon. Is that right?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're a Cancer moon because I'm just going off the solar chart here, not the natal. Sometimes it's a little challenging because the moon degrees aren't always as exact, especially since I'm reading off of universal time here. So I'm gonna throw down. You've got a Cancer moon. Mercury in Libra, Venus in Virgo, Mars in Leo. Mars in Leo, which is very connected to the monkey. Do you act at all? Sing, dance? Do you do anything creative like that?
No, more like arts and crafts.
Okay. Jupiter, Taurus. That's a great aspect for arts and crafts, by the way. Jupiter, Taurus. And then you've got Saturn in, let's see, Aquarius, Uranus, Virgo. So you have a lot of Virgo energy in your chart. You've got Uranus and Pluto conjunct. And so that's a very profound kind of healing capacity that runs through you and can be of assistance to other people. You've got kind of a nice chart here. You've got let's see. You've got the ability to be kind of spontaneous at times. The one thing you don't have a lot of air in your chart. You just have that Saturn at the far degrees of Aquarius. So one of the things that you want to try to do with a lack of air in your chart is to keep things moving and to stay inspired. Go get up to Mount Rainier every now and then and let the wind blow through your hair, connect with air. Does that sound cool? Does that sound like a good thing?
Sounds good.
Okay. So do you have any specific questions or anything that you're kind of focusing on or looking at in your life?
Are
you the woman
I don't know.
Are you
Yeah.
the one who was married to that guy?
Yeah, I'm married.
The Latino guy who doesn't
Yeah,
really...
yeah, that's me. Hi.
Yes. Okay. So this is interesting. What's going on? Did you take my advice and tell him all these wise things I shared with you?
I don't remember. Isn't that terrible? I'm getting older. I don't remember what you said.
How's he treating you?
On and off, sometimes good, sometimes not.
Right.
Nothing terrible, just, I don't know, verbal.
Verbal. What does that mean, verbal?
Well, kind of like lack of, affection or insulting at times,
Yeah, typical kind of, unenlightened.
Macho man crap. Oh, I'm starting to remember now what you said. Yes.
Right. So, today is an interesting day. Today we have Venus in Pisces opposing Mars in Virgo. And isn't your husband a Virgo, by the way? Is he a Virgo?
Yeah. Yeah, you have a good memory. Yes, he is.
Okay. Here we go. So he theoretically has the opportunity to re-examine his critical nature with Mars retrograde Virgo. Venus in Pisces, which is very feminine, has the opportunity to overcome criticism and anger through compassion and forgiveness.
Wow.
All right, so I'm going to give you a strategy, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to give you a strategy to lay on your husband that will blow his mind.
Okay.
But I'm only going to share it with you if you promise me that you will consider it.
Oh, yeah, I'll try anything.
Okay. Here's what you do. You walk up to him, give him his Dos Equis or his Corona or whatever he wants to drink at night.
Mm-hmm.
And just before you hand him his nice cold cerveza,
Mm-hmm.
right, you just about hand it to him, and you pull it back, and then you draw him close to you, and you look him right in the eyes, and you say, what's his first name?
Gilberto.
You say, Gilberto, I just want you to know that I love you, and I unconditionally love you, even though at times you can be extremely critical and you don't always share with me and tell me how much you love and appreciate me. I don't care. I love you unconditionally. And then you draw him close to you, and you look in his eyes, and you plant a nice big kiss on him, and you hold him, and you blow the circuitry right out of his brain.
Okay.
And then you step back, and you look him right in the eyes, and you hand him his cerveza, and then you just wink or smile and walk away. Let me tell you, that's like dropping a depth charge into his heart. And today you can do that. You can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try that.
Try
That's
it.
easy.
Just work up to it and generate, because somewhere inside you love this man, right? You love him. You wouldn't be with him if you didn't. Find that feeling and hit him with that feeling and say, you know what, above and beyond your criticism and your inability to share with me how much you appreciate me, I love you unconditionally, and I'm gonna show it to you in this moment. And I'll tell you, that could be a life-changing moment for Gilbert. And it's today, because we have Venus opposing Mars, 22 degrees, 22 degrees. There is a portal, there is a gateway, step through it.
Cool. I will do it.
Yeah. So the thing is, right, once you do it, you can't be attached to it, though. You got to let it go.
Oh, okay.
You got to let it go. Look, when people are given and shown unconditional expressions of love, it can be really powerful. And it can freak them out, it can shake things up, or it can be, if they're open to it, just a wonderful, salve. And but I think that would be a great strategy, and lay it on them and see what happens.
Okay.
You're a monkey. You're a monkey. Play with it, right? Play with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay. Well, listen. Thank you for calling in, and call us back and let us know how it goes. I think
I will.
It'll be interesting. All right.
Okay. Have a good day.
Take good care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
How funny is that, huh? It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Let's see, where's 917? Sometimes I like to know the area codes when people call in. I think this person called in before. What is this? 917, New York State. Got time for one more call. It's the 917 call. Hi there. You're on the air with Robert. Who are you, and where are you calling from?
Hi, Robert. This is Ellen. I'm from New York, and yes, I did speak to you once before, about a month ago.
Okay, cool. And what did we talk about? Can you remind me?
It was just general stuff, and we were toward the end of the show, if I remember correctly, but we spoke probably 20 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And today I have a specific question, if you don't
All right.
mind.
Sure.
Okay. Do you need my birth information and all that?
Yeah, since we're really winding down here, I'm just going to look at your solar chart and find out whatever I can. When's your birthday?
May 26, 1956.
May 26, 1956. Okay.
3:30 p.m.
Let's just go with the solar chart. So May 26, 1956. Okay. All right. I got you. You're on the radar here. All right. What's your question?
I'm writing something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something I've been thinking about on and off for a couple of years, and suddenly I've gotten inspired, and I think it's coming together finally.
Okay.
Is there anything in my chart that would indicate when is the best time to make it public? And to somehow move it forward,
absolutely.
either to send it to an agent, a publisher, or something?
Yes, absolutely. You have, Mercury, you have Mercury in Gemini in your chart.
Right.
You're also a Gemini. Jupiter this year, starting in the summertime, is in Gemini. That is the ideal time. So I would say probably July or August of this year.
Okay. Cool.
Yep, pretty simple, huh? You've got Mercury retrograde in Gemini, by the way. Anything that you do with writing in terms of flashback or reminiscence or personal biography or personal archaeology, all of that stuff can be very much highlighted and very important to your writing project and writing process.
I'll keep that in mind. I wasn't planning to do anything like that.
Well, don't be afraid to dip into your past, because with Mercury retrograde, the past can be very, very relevant, especially when it comes to writing.
I'll have to think about that. Wow.
Yeah. Also, if you want to take it to like a kind of a more cultural level, you could also look to examples from the past. So don't be afraid to dip into history to use examples as well. So it's personal history or collective history.
That is what I'm doing. It is more of like a big metaphor. It is. That's it.
All right. Well, good. So July, August, don't be afraid to let that loose in the world. And it looks to me like you've got your moon in Sagittarius, which is a great moon for publishing and getting your thoughts and feelings out there.
Terrific. Well, you made my day.
Good. That was easy.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Ellen. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And with that, we have reached the end of the show. Perfect. Excellent. I like it. Beginning, middle, end. Creates a nice story, nice narrative. It is 11:56, just 4 minutes left in the show. I want to thank everybody for calling in. It was a delightful show. Great stories and great opportunities always to learn and grow. And I'll reiterate my offer. If you're listening to this on the podcast or listening to the streaming, just for this show, I'll take $10 off. A 60-page transit report for 2012, $15. $15. Doesn't get much cheaper than that. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'll be back on Friday. I think I'm going to try to catch up with our friend Visible, who's down in Mexico. I think I'm going to do a little bit of a podcast with him. So basically what I'll do is I'll interview him and I'll put him on the show. And then, but I won't be doing it live because he can't call in from Mexico without having to pay. So I'll take care of that beforehand. Thanks again for everybody in the chat room and everybody that called in. You've been listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I'm Robert Phoenix. I'm your host. I'm your navigator. And I'll see you guys on Friday with the Friday forecast, probably with Visible. I'm out of here.
We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.